I talk to a spirit. She comes in my dreams.
What is the path to awakening supposed to look like, to feel like? How do you know if you are on it? We ask these very sacred and sometimes vulnerable questions to many different women from all walks of life. A conversation that needs to be shared and heard. I'm Jo Hendy.
I'm Amanda Parker.
And welcome to the Girl Awakening podcast.
Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Jo.
Feels like a lifetime since we've been sitting here in this space together.
It definitely is in many ways, because time just really is not linear, and our guest today is going to kind of really illustrate that, I think. But the times this year has just been such a, I don't know, I'll say vortex or whirlwind of
topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we haven't sat together for a month, so that's been a while. Yeah.
And life happens.
Sure does.
Yeah.
So today we have a beautiful guest. Actually, this lady was one of our very first guests that came on Girl Awakening podcast 2 years ago.
Yes.
How wild is that? She was doing amazing work on the Gold Coast, and she has so beautifully and so inspiringly decided to follow spirit. And you might have to move in. You keep going fuzzy.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So today we have back joining us Michelle
Vrkic.
Is that how you say it?
Vrkic?
Yeah,
Vrkic in Croatian. So
welcome
lots
back.
of interpretations.
Yes. Welcome back. It's so beautiful to have you back on, and we're so excited for you to share your journey since the last time we met.
Well, I can't believe it's been 2 years. I've been living in Florida in America for about a year.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, was it 2 years? So that's interesting enough. Time has certainly flown.
Yeah.
And lots of changes within that as well. So definitely been an interesting time. And can I just say how beautiful it is to see the two of you? I'm surrounded by Americans now, and just to see some Aussies that I used to walk along the beach and bump into every day as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
And we are so blessed with being able to have that energy of the ocean and the sun in the mornings and start the day with that. And it's like a meditation, but also intention, isn't it, to have that space to walk.
Absolutely. And I've been one of those people that's always chased the ocean. I'm actually living on water, and I'm by the beach as much as I can be every morning. And I guess it's part of, and as yours, as I would see you, it would be part of our natural ritual to connect in with the ocean, with the water. And I know back in Miami on the Gold Coast in Australia, there was, the beautiful rocks there at Miami, which I used to connect with quite a bit as well. I feel like there's a bit of a vortex and a bit of a portal opening there.
Oh, wow.
Which is quite powerful. I was there in December, January this year, actually, just went back to visit family. And I felt like just in front of the rocks, it was a friend of mine, Rena, and I, we literally just walked in, and we were just processing a lot, and we just walked in and we thought, oh my God, we're literally crossing a threshold right now. Yeah. Crossing a threshold of new beginnings, of new times. So, every time I go to Miami or think of Australia, I always have good memories.
Oh, wow.
Because I think just to also, so we're Miami, our podcast is in Burley, but you are in Miami, Florida, so on the other side of the world, literally in our sister vibe.
Yes.
But you followed spirit to basically leave an amazing community that you established here with your healing work and working with spirit and shamanism and teaching workshops with children, to go, okay, now we're going to follow where my heart is calling me, which is to the other side of the world.
Yeah. Well, I actually went to Hawaii. I attended a spiritual conference myself, and it was beautiful because I met a lady there, a friend of mine, Hulene, who I'm actually living with and is my roommate at the moment. I'm staying with her. And when we first met, she said, I'm from Miami, America. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm from Miami, Australia. So there was this instant connection. And, you know, sometimes it just takes that one person that can bridge when you're waiting for a change. For me, I wanted to expand. I had built a community on the Gold Coast, not just with adults doing shamanic practitioner work, but also with kids. And I just felt like I wanted to expand. I wanted to see the world. At that time, I was hearing like a lot of other healers that were kind of branching out and moving out and expanding. And I was like, oh my God, I was watching them thinking, I want that. I'm ready to just go. But then, you know, you think you've established your business, and then there's families, and then there's dear friendships. And yeah, it just happened. I received the call that it was meant to be in America, and that I meant to move. And it did help that I knew my friend Helene, of course. And that transition was quite smooth. But then there was that element, because I hadn't been to Florida. And I didn't know her that well. She's like my soul family.
Yeah.
I trusted in that, but you still got to navigate, you know, different energies, different people. Are things going to work?
Yeah.
And I remember even down to just trusting that it was meant to happen, that like I told everybody, and I was waiting on my visa to be able to work and operate properly in America. And I think I got it 2 days before my flight was leaving. So that is how much I trusted, and was literally like, Spirit, you know, what's my next step? And what is it that I need to do to get there? And what is it that I need to surrender and trust that you're assisting me, and that I'm not actually doing this alone?
Wow. Because you
So that
set everything up, hadn't you? Like waiting like 2 days before you go, like everything in your life here had been
was packed up.
And you were ready to go regardless.
The power of decision.
Yeah.
I think that's really just listening to you and feeling into the whole trust piece. You know, it's exactly what you just said. The surrendering and trusting is where we're at now. It's like, you know, you make a decision and you just got to hand it over.
And be in action. And I do think there's an element of just moving. Like before, I felt it was safe that I was going to be able to work there and spend time there. I still made the movement of telling people. I still was in action around, I'm going and I'm going to work this out no matter what. So I do feel like, and there were moments, I don't want to pretend or put this illusion out there that you don't get those moments where you kind of go, oh my God, what am I doing? And what am I thinking? Because I remember, you know, being in action, and then there was a period of 24 days where it just the negative mental mind chatter that came in that I had to navigate for 24 hours, all those feelings flooded in, like, will I like it? Is it going to work? What am I going to do? Like, is my business going to be okay? Am I going to reach people there? And there is that aspect of, yes, I've built a community, but there's also, and I'm still working with my Australian clients, so I'm so grateful for them, even here in America doing distance healings, but also, you know, starting and promoting, showing up. Who am I in America? What is my medicine? How is it that I can help? And there was this aspect of, you know, coming to Florida, I'm like, Spirit, why wasn't it California? Because there's a lot more spiritual people there.
Yes.
And I literally had my guides telling me, no, you're here to help awaken. You're here to bridge. You're here to do all of that. But if I had bought any of that moment for that 24 hours and backed out, I would not be where I'm at today. So I always say to people, no matter what comes up and no matter what resistance or whatever, you know, resistance or obstacles, you just, if you decide something and you just do whatever it takes to get there, it can't not happen.
Yeah.
Oh, that really, I can feel that in my solar plexus and in my lungs, and then it just goes into my heart, and it's just like that exhale, inhale, and then exhale again of that moving of the energy through, and it's like a knowingness that gets foundation. Just listening to you say that, it's like watch you hold your breath and know, but don't dare to breathe in and out. And then
because you're scared something's gonna go wrong, or yes, I can feel that holding.
Second guess.
Yeah.
But it's been expansive. It's been expansive. And I arrived February this time. Well, February, it's March now, but February last year. And I've navigated my business. I've met so many amazing people. One of the reasons that I left as well is I got told that I was actually meant to teach shamanism in America. And I've also been running Shamanic Practitioner training, facilitating them. So that's been a huge plus. I've also in the process learnt Akashic record readings. I now do multidimensional soul integration sessions. And if I was back in Australia, I don't think those people would have come along. And I don't think that would have actually fallen in my lap the way that it did. So I feel like even my abilities, and sometimes when you're out of your normal environment, you've got more space and then you can receive more. And then there was this whole integrating of all these other modalities that I can look back now and go, oh my God, that's who I am. I know exactly my medicine. I know what it is that I can offer people. And I know that these modalities and these processes have helped me because I integrate everything before I actually, work with my clients, of course.
Absolutely. And the other thing too that was thinking about, sometimes you get a new opportunity to start fresh. Of course you do when you move somewhere new, but we sometimes find that people can have us in a box, and it's okay. And yes, we're supposed to break out of that box, that's part of the journey. But sometimes getting an opportunity like you have to start fresh from a place of power, and not having to. And when I say power, I mean the gift that you have inside of you. And you did mention something about expansion and expanding. I can feel that when you talk about that, how you've gone and just, everything's just kind of opened up for you in that space where you can just be you, who you always have been, but in a space of nobody knowing you too.
Which is quite freeing.
Yeah, I love it.
If you know me, I'm a bit of a free spirit, so I don't want to be pigeonholed. Yes. I mean, yes, I teach shamanism, but I don't dress. I'm just me, so I don't pretend to be anything else but than who I am. So I think that's really important along the journey, and in this spiritual journey as well, that you don't get labeled as certain identities. Like, I want to be free, I want to expand, I want to make a difference in the world. So it is whatever it takes for me to be able to bring that essence of me through.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful.
And how, because when you were saying before about why Florida to your guides, now that you've been there for a year and you've been sharing your teachings and working with people, how does it feel to you, in the environment? Do you feel a shift around you and the people that are coming to you for?
Oh, absolutely. And also I'm connecting with like-minded people as well that do want to help awaken and do want to ascend and do want to learn. So I work out of a centre called Spiritual Journey, and Barbara, the owner there, is literally, and this has been beautiful as well, the synchronicity of things. She's literally been right. She comes and does a lot of my sessions. She's learned all the Shamanic Practitioner training courses. She'll want to be a part of anything that I offer there, and she helps promote me to her community, which is beautiful. So that has been a sense of ease of getting a foot in and meeting like-minded people like that. It just makes a difference because I'm wanting to help her as well, vice versa. So it's a beautiful exchange there. And plus, I do have to say, it is similar to the Gold Coast. It's beach weather. It's, oh my God, the weather is just so beautiful. So I've landed exactly where I was meant to.
It's the wrong Miami.
Yeah. Well, different Miami. But it feels like a sisterhood when you're talking there. It's like you've left your tribe here, but you haven't actually left your tribe here. But you've expanded yourself, your energy and your gifts, the ability to share your gifts, but also the tribe that was there waiting for you is
Oh, the connections have been amazing, and I feel like I've just gained, because I'm still very close. You know, we work the time difference, which we try and do it the best that we can, but yeah, I still keep in touch with a lot of the sisterhood connections that I had created back home, plus my family. My God, they're my everything. And then I still feel like there's the soul family. There's so many elements to this reality that we live in. There's connections, you know, through family. Thank God, you know, we're all good within my own personal family. We've definitely walked a journey to where we're at the moment. And, you know, I work a lot in that area, and I always say I learnt a lot within my own family. And now I feel like I've just, the family and community keeps growing for me. Connection, love, joy, expansion. That's what's really important for me.
Absolutely. And I know just from experience, because I've traveled to the States a lot, and I don't know whether it is a cultural thing, but Americans really support each other. Like they're like, you have a whole heap of cheerleaders that are just, you know, gung-ho for anything you're doing. They just want to support you, love you, like this. And I sometimes find in Australia we have that tall poppy syndrome, where if you get too big for yourself, it's like, someone's there to quickly put you down or put you back in your box. But in America, they're all for it. They just, you know, they're like a little hype team around you all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I know.
And I do have quite a bit, actually. I'm quite lucky in that sense. I've landed exactly where I was supposed to, with those kind of connections and with that kind of support.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's everything when you're transitioning and moving and you don't know anybody, and every day is different. But you, as I said, you can show up in who you are, and nobody knows who I am. And I kind of like, because I guess, you know, when people ask me what I do, I like to tell people that I bring, you know, I bring connection, I bring joy, and I bring abundance and expansion. It's not necessarily how I do it as such, but what it is that I'm here to do. I think they're quite welcoming of that here, which is good.
Yeah.
I think those words, they carry a lot of energy, don't they? Like, and I think there's with the way that you share it as well, it lands beautifully with people, doesn't it? Like, there's no resistance if you again labeled it and said, like, oh, I do shamanism, I teach shamanism, or the Akashic records or something. If people are religious or, you know, different backgrounds or whatever, they'd sort of like questioned that before they actually heard what you said. Whereas if you're using those words, joy, abundance, expansion, they go, oh, I feel like that.
Some of that.
Yes. It takes the barrier away, doesn't it? And it's sort of like a openness then to receive what else the connection, the reason why you've actually even met in the first place and had that conversation, and what that then leads to.
Yes. And I've got to tell you, because I did literally, we talk about expansion, I did literally sell up, got rid of everything except one suitcase. One suitcase. I don't think I told you that. So, and literally decluttered. And, you know, it felt so good to live light. Like I gave a lot of stuff to, you know, the Salvation Army back home, to my friends. They could pick out my wardrobe, books. I just wanted to release as much as I could. But in not even having a home, I've landed in the most beautiful, homely home on the water with a boat. I'm just so grateful for where I'm at. I just can't begin to tell you the expansion. I travel all the time. Like, I've got different friends that have got timeshares, and then I've got another friend who will be like, oh, I've got this offering at the moment where it's $150 and that's all we have to pay, and we just get your flight and we're going to Sedona. Like, literally. So I have traveled the last year everywhere, and I often think abundance and prosperity, it's not just through one avenue. We've got to get out of the mindset of how that looks, and that it is through a linear process as we speak. But there's so much that I've received from letting go of everything. And I never in a million years thought that I would have had a life like this, not even like the slightest. So in the sense of traveling all over America has been amazing. And part of my purpose was, because part of the call is that you're meant to travel and also do grid work. So I know you ladies know what grid work is. It's about, it doesn't even matter if it's sacred sites. It's where are you being called to put your energy in? Where are you being called to receive codes?
Yep.
Where are you there to offer something to Mother Earth? And what it's a gifting, it's an exchange. So I kind of feel that the traveling has been such a great example of, like, spirit has got me and spirit is telling me where I need to go. I might just know within a week or so that I'm traveling, and somehow, like, I've got clients that I can do via Zoom. So somehow, again, the synchronicity of that. And this is something I do in my own time of just offering what I can to Mother Earth. And I feel like the abundance and the prosperity that I'm receiving in just naturally doing that, it's been an eye opener in that sense for me. And it's been so rewarding to know that this was so much bigger than I thought it would be.
I'm hearing that whole multi-dimensional being part of you, where it's like there's the physical Michelle, but there's this other part, and I can almost see the veins going out, to everywhere you talk or you put your energy is just being cleared, and it's like we are multi-dimensional, and wherever we even put our thoughts these days is clearing ways and so forth. You were talking, I was thinking, there's that beautiful saying, the magic lies outside of your comfort zone, and it couldn't be truer just listening to you right now. And, for the people listening, it's time we started challenging ourselves and started really tuning into what we are being asked to do. And it can be something tiny. It doesn't have to be something like move across the planet, but that's where these amazing, abundant experiences start to happen when we push ourselves.
And also different energies that I'm finding. So one of the things, you believe the one thing that I missed the most, obviously it's family and friends when I got to America, was Australia, the actual land, our Indigenous culture that was there. And I worked with them when I did a lot of land clearings. So I did obviously grid work in Australia, but there was this, oh my God, I miss the Aboriginal people and the culture from that land and the ancestors that used to communicate to me. That was a real eye opener to me as well. But and I've been told that I need to use instruments and bring Australia to America, which I'm incorporating more in my one-on-one sessions and in my group teachings as well. But coming here, there's all these other energies and codes that I never imagined that I would receive as well. So even, so this is going to be interesting. How am I going to word this? In my own journey doing multidimensional soul integration, one of what I've learned about myself is I'm a wisdom keeper. Yeah. So in that, what I have found is that I'm very connected to rocks and stones. So even I live in Lighthouse Point in America, Lighthouse Point. And when I first arrived, it took me a couple of weeks because I got my drum out and I went, right, what do I need to connect with the energies here? And they literally said to me, look at where you've landed. You're in where the light is. You're at Lighthouse Point, literally of America, because there's probably, you drive down like a mile down the road and I literally feel like I'm in America. It's like, whoop, the energies are here, where I literally feel like I'm safeguarded. It just feels different. It feels light. It feels expansive. But when I would literally walk the dog, my friend's dog, he's actually kind of become my dog.
I wonder why. Yeah, he's like, oh, I like this energy. I'm sticking with her.
Well, he does actually, because and his name's Taz, right? And he's an Australian Silky Terrier. Oh. So do you believe I traveled to the other side of the world again? He's made the transition. He's my best friend. I'll never be without a dog ever again.
We just heard a dog bark.
I know, that's him.
Oh, no way. How beautiful. He's like, I'm here. Hi.
I know. God bless him. But as I was saying, he would literally take me on walks because he would know the neighborhood. I was getting to know it. And then I was literally connecting in with the rocks in the area. And again, different vibration, different codes, different ways of interpreting messages. And I literally got that we are in the times. This is where when you do grid work, you receive a lot of messages. Oh, actually, I've got to let him out. Just 1 second.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I love the way the animals, they can communicate their little message as well. Like,
He's like, set me free. Literally telling, so the rocks would literally be telling me that we're at a time where we're building new earth energy, and it's time for, as we know, new technology and all of that to come. But it was a real eye-opener for me, because it was telling me personally to build my own foundations, that we're building new foundations. And what does that look like? And even the rocks, earth, it's going to be changing. It's going to be changing. So, and it is starting with the rocks. So that, there's been lots and lots of fascinating, even connecting in with galactic beings in a different way here than I did back home. So I felt like they were visitors from Orion's here. So it's definitely been, again, just an eye-opener in different places, different energies. And I feel like I was placed here as well for the next level and for the next up-leveling of my own journey, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I wanted to ask, and I don't know why it came in, but I'm going to ask anyway. The Jesus energy, because I know that's been a powerful thing for a lot of different people. I mean, for me, personally, it's coming very strong just to learn more about that energy, the stories, all of that. How is that? Has that come in for you? Has that been something that's strong?
Christ consciousness, yes, it does come up a lot in and it comes up when I work with children a lot. They've got a lot of that Christ consciousness energy, and different clients, it gets activated. But it's interesting you say that, because I did have a bit of a journey when I came here, and it wasn't, it was Christ conscious energy around, but I went to Casadega, which is up in Florida, and we went to a creek. I forget its name, but it's these beautiful bluey, greeny waterways, a creek that was just divine, and it was called St. John's, and I went with a group of friends that are also quite spiritual, and it was really interesting because we were in the water, and I had a moment where I went in, and I literally felt I was going into a labyrinth. And as I was going in, I actually felt John the Baptist there. And this was my first experience grid working here in America. And I got told that I'm being baptized for grid work, just like Jesus Christ was, if that makes sense. So it's an interesting, I would not have looked for that. I wouldn't have thought of that. And the other girls had very, very similar experiences as well. So to me, I felt like that was an initiation. What did Jesus Christ do? He was doing grid work. He literally traveled and had his messages. So I felt like, oh my God, where am I? And look at my world opening in ways I couldn't imagine.
When many years ago, I read a book, Shirley MacLaine, when she was sort of coming out with her spiritual beliefs and things, and she wrote a book called Out on a Limb, and it talked around her when she went on the Camino Trail, and on that journey, John the Baptist came to her in very much the same way as like a baptizing of her, walking from one life into another life. Oh, wow. It kind of gave me goosebumps when you said that, because he must be like that archetype, that angel of transition into this space of the work, the purpose. It's very, very beautiful and just so powerful.
Do you have, I know for me, Michelle, when I have magical moments happen, sometimes I cry, because I'm like, I believe in it and I know it, but to experience it is a whole different thing. That I sometimes cry just from pure joy, and that there's, it's real, that everything that we've heard and talked and communicated is actually real, and it's happening for me. Do you have moments like that? Just
Oh
hearing.
my gosh, all the time. You know, I'm actually, God, I feel like I'm the biggest crier.
Yeah, no, I feel
Sense of-
that. It's just so beautiful that
Yeah.
you're having that experience all the time, you know?
Yeah, oh, you definitely get your days where, you know, you've got moments where it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm getting out of my comfort zone. Last year, I got so out of my comfort zone that there was a point where my little girl, like there's always bouts of joy. You know that about me. That's the inner, you know, my little girl always wants to play and is up for adventure and play. But interesting enough, last year, because I had so many changes and I had to put myself out there, and it is another level of, you know, they've got a different accent, and learning how to communicate and just ground even. But my little girl was so out of a comfort zone that I literally had to call my friend, and I just had to just cry and cry and cry. But I needed to soothe her.
Yeah.
I needed to soothe her because she was like, oh my God, it's so uncomfortable. And I'm so out of my comfort zone, but I'm like, no, I've got you. But I literally, God, my friend Tash, God bless, she was holding space for me. And I said, I know this doesn't make sense and good things are happening, but I almost had to get where all my blocks were from even expanding to the next level. You know, there's always a seal that we need to break. So yeah, there are times, I am living my best life, literally.
Yeah.
But also I like to make things real and grounded in the sense that I'm not, you know, you've got to also face the things that are going on and things that aren't working, and realigning and navigating, you know, things that you might need to communicate that are uncomfortable, so things can, you know, better fit and you can, you know, be more aligned, as they say.
And because also,
So
like,
beautiful.
you're working so much, like when you talk around with the shamanism and the Akashic records and the grid work, I mean, and even, you know, galactic beings, I mean, that's a lot of out there energy, isn't it, really? So to
Yes.
that contrast, but also the connection between being grounded and anchored into that spiritual work must be quite important in many, many ways. You could understand your little going, ooh.
It is. And sometimes with my friends, if we get too much into spiritual, especially, you know, you're in amongst healers as well, spiritual talk, I get frustrated. The little girl in me is like, enough, can we stop? We need to play.
Yes.
Because I'm like, no, like there's a time and space for that. And because I'm in the energy working with clients, I literally have to be normal. I have to do normal things in life and speak to normal people. I mean, we're normal, but you know what I mean? But people that aren't in this area, I like it when I can just be me, and I don't want that expectation that, oh, like there's a healer here. What is it that I need to ask her? Like, oh, what was she not like? It's just freeing to just be somewhere and just be yourself and have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to the supermarket and do the shopping and have a random conversation with a random stranger about the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're so friendly. Everybody says hello, everybody talks, they wave. Everyone's quite open here, which is good.
Yeah.
Neighbours, I mean, everybody comes over.
Do you feel it's your energy though too, Michelle? Do you feel like that's a normal kind of experience, or do you feel have you kind of had conversations around this, like, you know, is everyone normally this friendly, or is it, you know, because I think where your energy goes, that's what is reflected back to you, isn't it? You know, how people interact.
Well, I think I came from Sydney and I felt like the Gold Coast was the spiritual mecca. I felt like there was a lot of opening. So I feel like my energy is aligning for where I need to be, because I feel like Florida's expanding me so much more as well. So, and look, I don't know how long I'm going to stay here. I could end up in California. I know I'm going to Sedona in about 4 weeks, and then I'm going to the Bahamas. So I'm just California. I haven't hit that yet. I went to New York in November. So there's so many more places that I went to. This is kind of like my base, but I can be anywhere and live anywhere. I'm free. As I said, I've got my suitcase. I have, you know, bought a bit more clothing. I might need to, but as you do.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm still light, so I can pack up and go anywhere. There's no restrictions. There's no limitations.
Yeah,
That's
so nice.
that's a very few times in life where we can really say that, isn't it? Because, like, the program is, this step, this step, this step, this is the pathway to literally be an adult and to be free is a very, and be able to pivot or choose immediately to do something the next day. That,
And I think also sometimes not taking no as an answer. I think part of my journey was there was a time where I was in the programming. So, with programming, we all know this in this area. Like, when it hits, you are in it. You are living it. You're trying to get out of it. You don't see a way through. But then I always say, just one foot in front of the other. Like, if I didn't go to Hawaii, which changed my world, I knew I needed to go. At that time, I had a business that I was running. I had lots of expenses. And I remember doing manifesting processes. I ran a manifesting mentorship program. I did it all on myself first. And I literally needed to create $20,000. So I did. I put together a manifesting course and bang, I went to Hawaii. But I was getting, I was trying to access money from different places. I was getting all these things were happening. I launched my book, so I had a $20,000 expense here. My kids' book, Trixie and Pixie. So I think that the not buying that anything was a restriction.
Yeah.
I think, and I had to dig deep, and I had my mentor that said to me, because I was processing a lot in that area, when it's relationships or family. But I remember her saying, what if right now in this moment that you were going through lifetimes of scarcity mindset and poverty, and removing that program to fully move through it? And I think that's what got me through. It's like, I'm not going to buy it. And if this is it, then I'm going to give it my all to make sure that there's none of that in my system that's aligned with anything that's not going to work for me. And if it's not working, then it just means it's a redirection and a realignment. So that's processing life as well.
Yeah, hearing you, I've been feeling the limit, the limit that we have on things, on anything. There's always a limit, and it's like, oh no, it's, like you were saying before about, breaking through that ceiling. It's like allowing yourself to have no limit. Like, it's limitless wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do, or even just your thought is let go of that limit that we have, that we've put on ourselves. And that's another program in itself too. So yeah, being able to not put a limit on your thoughts, I think that's a massitive one.
Yeah, it's certainly a journey.
I actually wanted to rewind just a little bit, because it's playing on my mind now. I wanted to ask you, you spoke earlier about codes and coding. Can you just explain a little bit what that is?
So for me, how it resonates, especially when I'm doing grid work or working with a client, so there might be codes. So that I might be in an area where there's galactic beings bringing in codes. So sometimes it can look like colors, symbols, or numbers, or literally like just something flowing. Because I've been doing light language as well. So sometimes when I'm working with clients, I'm actually pulling in codes, different energies, different frequencies. Codes can come in the ways of, there's some areas that I've done some grid work where I'm literally feeling fairies, literally in fairy energy, and just bringing in fairy codes. So it's just an energy, it's a frequency. And I think it's because I also work with doing prosperity codes as well in bringing abundance. That was something that I worked on myself personally and being able to channel. So it's a frequency and a vibration that you feel coming through the body, and that's anchoring in. That's working with source energy, God, creator. So, and like picking up codes can also be, this is so big. This is so big in the sense of, sometimes I feel in other areas that I've been to that, oh my God, I know that I've lived here in a past life. So maybe I'm picking up abilities or remembering or activating parts of me in those versions, even the multidimensional parts of me.
Wow, that's so cool.
So that's kind of that's a very aware connection with what you were sharing before around being on Australian country, or and the relationship with the ancestry here, and the plants, and the, you know, the people, and wherever you travel, it's almost like an openness in your energy field to connect in with the relationship that is there for you, like past, present, or future, regardless.
Yes, and nature communicating as well. I been Helene, who I travel with a fair bit, who I'm living with, she's great in connecting in with trees. So we don't go looking for this. It's kind of like, I don't sit and go, okay, where is it?
Yes.
I do it differently. Some people are more intentional, and sometimes I have done it that way when it's a group collective thing. But we'll be walking or going shopping, or we'll be at the beach, and then all of a sudden we're going to the car park and we're literally connecting in with the tree, and it's giving us messages.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, I had a tree literally in New York in Central Park that was teaching me about the cosmic tree, as above, so below, and anthropology. And I was, again, receiving codes, messages from this tree. And we were just walking through, and then it was like, oh my God, there's this pull, or there's this need to connect. And then, you know, working with spirit, you can never figure it out with your mind. You get to feel it, you get to sense it, and then you get to hear or see what it is that it's how it's communicating to you.
Yeah, and this is a beautiful reflection, isn't it, on the busyness of life, like how we're swept up in the, you know, where we go to the shopping, or we're going to walk through Central Park, but we start and we've got to get to the finish, or get that job done without actually smelling the roses, or, you know, being in communication with the environment or the energies along the way. And yeah, what I'm hearing is just that, you know, your antennas are on and your energy is in flow, as opposed to, like, you know, that over cortisol, fight or flight, you know, can't hear anything, can't see anything because my brain's telling me I've got to do this. Like, you're more anchored in a different space within yourself for those things to come to you. Is that what it feels like? Or
because I was in the rut race. I was corporate background, even starting my business in this area. Like, oh my God, I gave it my all. I just was working all the time. And I realized my body, it wasn't doing well. It wasn't coping. So that was a lesson in itself. And I think leaving Australia was a goodbye to all of that as well, that there needs to be a different way. And as we say, it just, that abundance can come. It's not so structured in the way that it needs to be by having a 9-to-5 job. It's why I started my business, but then I thought I needed to operate that way, which I did. And it did work, but then I'm like, no, I'm a free spirit. What am I doing? This has to be different.
Oh, it's a beautiful lesson for
So
us.
that's what I've been definitely navigating the last year. And then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I need to do more work because I'm just so much in flow that I question it. But as I say, everything's there that I need. But it's still, you know, the balancing in the middle ground of it all.
Absolutely. And there's no one right way. You know, everybody's way is so different from the next person. And it definitely is about tuning in and listening to yourself and your body and your heart, and going with that, not looking outside of yourself for the answer.
Absolutely. That's definitely been a journey. I've had some beautiful, beautiful mentors, and, you know, that I still work with now, because you need that outside help. But, you know, I do get the call. I do get spirit communicating with me. And if it's one thing about me, if I get that call, I will process it and I will never not do it. I got a message last year probably mid-year last year, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but it challenged me again. I'm like, oh, another letting go of programming, another, like, do you know what I mean? And I got told why, and now I'm starting to see why. So again, I didn't get evidence of it for 7 months. I didn't get evidence. So I'm like, Spirit, you did tell me that. But it was like still remaining in trust. And now I'm like, oh my God, it's coming in a way that, again, I wouldn't have imagined. Way bigger than I thought it would have. So it's sometimes when you do get those messages, as you say, you might not get the evidence at first, and it does teach you to trust, to keep working on anything that comes through that is going to stop it from coming through, and just trusting in that divine timing as well, of course, that divine order. Because I didn't just accidentally get here as well. Like, there was lots of conditioning. I didn't just pack up and just arrive here. Like, I went through family stuff in my 20s, the conditioning, being Croatian and being Catholic and being a divorcee, like that. Oh my God. So it's like the freedom I've been walking in every relationships, friendships, work. Oh my God. Like, I used to be, in corporate sales. I used to be out on the road, and I used to tell managers, if you micromanage me, you're not going to get the best out of me. I need scope. I need to move. This is how I operate. I will give you more than what you've asked, but I need the space to do that and the trust.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've been navigating that in each area of my life to get to this point, because there's times where I didn't think I was going to get here either, or even know I was going to end up here.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing what you're saying, the contrast. It's so needed. You don't, like you said, you don't just arrive there. There's a process of you getting, and it's still a process. There's talk to you in a year, and you'll be going through this, similar stuff, but at a different level. It's a different layer. We're all going through different things, and it's a process. And it's like,
it's the work.
Programming, it's the work. And there's beautiful gifts when you just keep moving. It's like, instead of stopping, it's like you keep moving and keep listening, keep flowing, and you get the little gifts. And, there's down times and there's up times, but it's all the flow.
And it's also, I was just thinking when you were saying that, the moving can also be moving into stillness.
Yeah.
When it hasn't arrived, like moving it, it's still a process of, okay, it's not meant to happen now, and letting go of that. That's still moving and trusting, and still putting energy into something that might not have come into fruition yet. But knowing that it will, but it is in those reflective stillness time, because I always know, oh my God, it's time for me to go inward. We all know the term, contracting to expanding, but those times do challenge us, and we're in the world of dualities. So we're living proof of it every day as well, personally and collectively.
And would you also kind of call that stillness the surrender?
Yes, surrendering to, and also surrendering to what you need to process. So I am a feeler. That's my dominant Claire. I feel everything. So I need to feel something's right, or if something's not, or if I'm pulling in a lesson for myself, rather than looking, what are they, doing to me? What is it? Where is it in my fields that I've left that open? Where is it that I have brought that in? What is it that I need to learn? Where isn't it? There's lots of things in that. Where isn't I'm not communicating? Where are my boundaries? Where are my leakages? So I have to feel that, because sometimes it's the betrayal of self.
Yeah.
It's the not trusting completely when you should have, your gut instincts in something.
Wow. I can feel that one. Yeah.
So feeling through what I'm going through at different times in life. And as you say, we can get busy and avoid it. And I used to do that and be very good at it.
Yeah.
But that's definitely been a process for me to adapt to, and to know that it can leave me now. This is my journey. They were the gifts. That's where the gold was. So that's how I do view it from that perspective as well. That makes life a little bit easier. So again, nothing's outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And for somebody like me, I can be very independent. So it's still good to have support and let support in as much as we can as well.
And sometimes it's that thing too, isn't it, when you verbalize something, to somebody who's, you know, trusted, the word trust again, or like a mentor or a good receiver or a good reflection, that just it gives a different, immediately a different relationship to what it is that you're verbalizing, as opposed to the internalized. It's like, okay, it's time for it to come out now, but in a safe space, or in a space where it can be received. And then everything transmutes. And that's, isn't it? Yeah.
And also walking, I don't know why, but water for me does a lot. Walking along the beach, like Miami Beach on the Gold Coast, like, don't you think that is just magical and spiritual and special? And I used to my tears just used to flow. I would just put my headphones on, whatever I needed to release. Also, you know, for me, it's always been discernment of, you know, my clients, working with them, and shamanism works quite deep. I work with emotions, so I'm releasing and moving. So I've always had the beach to bridge and also, you know, put self-care in for that for me as well. And learning, you know, that's your clients, this is yours, and working with my own and working in those worlds so it doesn't get meshed into one almost.
Cleansing and the emptying of the cup for it to, you know, be vibrationally, I'll say, pure of essence again, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. The water codes, as we say.
Ooh, yeah, we love that. Beautiful. We love that. Well, we are coming to the end of our beautiful chat, very close to the end. We've got a for our listeners that are on the Gold Coast, we've got a cyclone happening here at the moment, Michelle, which I'm sure you've probably heard. So when you talk about Miami Beach, it's not looking very much like Miami Beach at the moment. It's
a bit in turmoil.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy around, and it's, you know, it's interesting watching the people and how each person reacts. And for me, I find it exciting. You know, and it's moving and shifting, and it's wild and crazy, and, you know, who knows, you know, what's going to happen in the next 48 hours. But it's an interesting time on the planet. I wanted to just throw that question out there to you.
Thank you.
How are your vibes around the planet at the moment, and for this year, and what has been coming up in your space for us as a whole? Have you been seeing anything, feeling anything,
working with things with people?
I think it's time for, I feel like there's still a lot of cleansing through Mother Earth and the awakening process for many people, because I'm finding more people that I wouldn't have thought that were open to my services are.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So I do feel there's more collective shifts happening. I do. I've had people come to me who I've gone, oh my God, I would never have thought they would book a session with me.
Yeah.
Like people that I know I've grown up with that were like, what is she doing, to now? So I feel collectively people are becoming more open. I feel like for those that have been shifting and doing the work, we're stepping into our power, we're stepping into our purpose. And I feel like things are going to come more into alignment this year. I really do. Things that we didn't imagine ending up in or doing, it's going to work in our favor. And I think just honoring Mother Earth, taking care of her, I think there's going to be more grid workers, more people understanding the process of how to look after her, which is going to bring abundance and just this beautiful frequency of more peace and calm within the chaos, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So energy's more balancing out this year.
We created her for New Year's Eve.
Oh,
and she's the peace on earth. She's been a very big invocation.
Yes.
Mantra.
The calling is strong, isn't it?
It is, and it's like you can't not answer it these days.
No, you'll get a cyclone if you don't.
Can you just share a little bit around, because you teach into the space, like with the grid work, with what you do with the shamanism and things as well too, don't you? So can you just share a little bit, because with what grid work means, like for all of us to just embrace a little bit of that in our minds.
So
What
to
grid?
embrace.
Yeah.
Oh, grid work. I think it's just putting your natural essence into areas, connecting into rocks, trees, the ocean. You don't have to even have spiritual abilities, whether it's sometimes I'll just hug a tree, as simple as that. Sometimes it's gifting Mother Earth. I might bring some flowers to her, or certain, gosh, you know what's a good one as well with grid work? There's sometimes rocks or plants or things might want to work with me. I'm a bit of a rock collector. And again, I do ask permission if something wants to come home, because I find like a stick that wants to work in my healing room. So I think it's just, if energy is calling, especially nature, receive it, open to it, because in that little small act, there will be more that will come to you, because the more receptive you are, the more open you'll be, and the more that spirit will guide you in how to help and what's your purpose in that area. Again, it's not linear. I'm different to other people. Everyone's got their area in it. And as long as you stay open and as long as you give gratitude and be grateful, that's all we can do. And just appreciate, gosh, I just think about the beauty of Mother Earth, and especially what I've seen in the last year and a half. Like I saw a lot of beautiful places in Australia, but I feel like I'm only getting started. I want to hit the globe.
Because you did share a little bit, you did share it. We are going to wind, but you did share a little bit around at the end of the year, some of the journeys that you've been on through the year. And would you like to just like speak of them, because they are a beautiful collection of waters and mountains and
oh gosh, I even went to Mount Shasta. So Lake Tahoe, can you imagine Lake Tahoe? The trees there and how they communicate from one end of the lake to the other. I found a grandfather tree there. North Carolina, I've been connecting in with the Cherokee lands there, which has been beautiful. And I found a medicine man called Steve that's teaching, you know, all the natural mullein and all the herbs and how it can help heal you, to, as I mentioned, Mount Shasta. And, you know, Mount Shasta is the root chakra.
Yes.
So that's the birthing portal.
Yes.
So that was so expansive. And then I went into the busyness of New York, and I've been to New Jersey and Key West. That was beautiful, down south of Florida as well. And San Francisco. That was different. I was putting more energy in because I could, there's a lot of poverty and people living off the street. So, and my hotels even changed, and I was in there just doing light language to harmonize the energy there. So sometimes it's not just giving energy, but it's also releasing and clearing energy from certain places as well. That's how I interpret grid work for me personally.
So
and then I went back to Australia, all in less than a year, literally.
we love that you are spreading your beautiful essence everywhere. It's like it's needed, and it's so beautiful that you're doing that.
Well, I hope you ladies join me on the journey somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, with you already. We're in spirit. We're just, you know, watching from afar and loving it all and feeling inspired. And we're so grateful that we got to spend this time with you today. It's been really special. And it'll be interesting to listen to your first podcast and then listen to your podcast now, and just to feel the shift that you've made and how inspiring that is for you, just to be, it's like you've settled. It's not settled in a way of settling, but you know who you are, you know what you're here to do, and there's so much more to come for you as well, that in the way of essence and spreading your gift, and it's just so inspiring and so beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I so appreciate you ladies having me back on. Amanda, I saw you at the beach and we had our conversation and had a chai together, and it was just like, oh my God, it's coming full circle again. And that was, Guy, I don't even know if you know that, but that was my first podcast.
Yes.
So that was my first podcast. I've been doing some here in America, but yeah, it's definitely been a journey, because one of my biggest fears was, oh my God, like public speaking. Oh my God, I'd want to hide. So thank you, because I knew coming on here, you ladies always make me feel warm. You make me feel welcomed. I can feel like it just, not just for me, but everybody on your podcast. Just the acknowledgement of how you have of every individual and where they're at in their journey. And there's just a sincerity in both of you. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share my journey.
Well, I just feel very grateful for today hearing you speak of that this is all possible for, I mean, to come and have teachings with you and to healings with you is obviously an activation and an alignment of connecting into what is more for an individual or a person, anyone. But anything is possible within our day now, that we can harmonize with our environment in ways outside of that clutter in the brain, or the programming, or the calling of the urgency of the clock, or we have it in our power to be discerning and realign our schedule. And I think this is what hearing you talk today is like what you've chosen, like in your energy and in your calling, with what you are here to be of service with, is what you're doing for people, as well as you're also bringing them back into that space of being in relationship with each themselves, with their people, and with Mother Earth. And I think that is a wonderful listening for everyone to take away today, but also recognition of what you're doing is of such a great service to all of us.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our Girl Awakening podcast. We are also on YouTube as Girl Awakening. We'd love to see you there with comments on how our guests resonated with you or your own awakening. Please share the love with a like and subscribe while you're there. A blissful thank you to Ksenia Luki, the amazing artist behind our theme song. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.